22nd September. October 1st is first day of bow season, so that's coming right up here. So anyways, what I got going on today, I'm going to put these Kolpin mounts on the quad for holding the gun and holding the bow, that stuff. And we got back there supposedly everything we need for a total oil change on this. I'll be opening those up in a second, but we're going to do that oil change first, and then we'll get these guys mounted. This is a 2006 Suzuki King quad, and what I got to do here on this thing here, I already removed the inner fender well on the left hand side, and I got to remove the skid plate down there to get the oil filter off of there without making a big huge mess. So anyways, I'll be doing that here in a second, and just kind of checking things out and whatever. I bought this quad not long ago, and I can see, like right here, there's sealant in the tires. There's sealant leaking out. There's a plug, another plug, and a thorn. Here's another spot where sealant's coming out, another spot sealant coming out. There's other spots all over this tire where there's sealant coming out. The other tire's the same way. In fact, it's got a thorn right next to a plug in almost the same spot, another thorn right there. So this thing's going to need new tires on it. They'll make it through the season. I'll just make sure I have the air pump up the air. You can even see here that plug's leaking. It's wet around the outside, so it's leaking sealant. Feel sorry whoever changes these tires are going to be playing in a lot of sealant. This thing, as you can tell, was originally yellow. It got painted camouflage, and they didn't bother scuffing the plastic up before they painted it. So I don't know what I'm going to end up doing about that one day, but who knows. I do have a soda blaster that's a buddy of mine, so maybe I'll soda blast this thing and repaint it. I don't know. We'll figure that out when we come to it. But yeah, it's got some tools sitting out here or whatever. Gonna get this thing done here. Luckily, the weather's turning a little bit. It was 100 and something yesterday. Today's only supposed to be like 85. So feels real nice right now. It's about 75 degrees outside, so getting nicer. Can't wait. But yeah, still learning about this thing here. But yeah, tires, well, whatever. You're gonna have to replace those eventually anyway. Alright, got those boxes opened. Got the rear end oil, front wheel drive oil, got the motor oil, filter, and it even comes with a little paper funnel, so you get a little funnel with it. Crush washers are in there, and these are the oil change kits. You get them on Amazon. So yeah, and I'll put up a link for some stuff I've got on the internet at the end of this, and you guys can check it out if you want to. If you need stuff through there, it definitely helped me out, because I'll end up making a little bit of money, which we all need nowadays. But yeah, get this stuff here. Definitely kind of cool. You got the kit, comes with your oil change kit, and then you get your drivetrain kit, crush washers, like I said, the funnel, filter, all that stuff. So it's kind of cool. Okay, now we're down under this thing. Got one bolt here, 10 millimeter, another 10 millimeter there I can see, and of course, you know, there'll be a couple on the other side, and inevitably there'll be one, knowing my luck, that I won't be able to find until I start trying to pull that thing off. But you know, just got to get this skid plate off right here to get to the drain plugs and that stuff. So okay, there was 6 bolts on there. Like I said, there's always going to be a couple more on there, so if something doesn't want to come off, look at it carefully, because there's probably more bolts holding it. Alright, here's the point I'm getting to right now. See all this junk sitting on top of this skid plate right here? Remember all those thorns I showed you in the tires earlier? Well, the seeds from all those plants that make those thorns are right there in that skid plate. Don't dump that stuff on your yard. Throw it in the trash can. You will thank me later. I do a lot of waterfowl hunting, and another place where I lived at, I used to wash my waders out in one spot all the time in the front yard, and when it would rain, all kinds of swamp plants would start coming up there. So that's how I know about this here, because this is carrying all those seeds and probably some thorns and whatever else from all that stuff. So best off put it in the trash. Okay, front differential, there's the fill, and underneath it is the level check bolt. Right there, the drain is directly on the bottom of it, so that's easy to do. But you definitely got to remove all the skid plates so you can get to that stuff. I had to remove the front skid plate here. Oh, there's this guy here, so this makes getting to it a little easier. This has got some issues. Plastic's broke there, so I'm going to find a big fender washer or something, straighten that thing out a bit, see what I can do to try to fix that to some degree, so I don't have to buy a new one. This obviously took an impact from something. I'm going to try to bend that back, a little sledgehammer, try to straighten that out. But that's that with that. Okay, here we got the rear diff. Fill is right there. There's no level check on it. It's just visual. You can see there's a line inside. You can see where it's supposed to be up to and whatever. But the drain plug's down underneath here, so I got to take this other skid plate off. So that's only got 2 bolts in it, it looks like, or 4 I should say, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. So we're gonna get that off and start changing some oil. Okay, we got the oil drained out. Now time to change the filter. And just trying to figure out my best angle on that thing, try to get it off with just my hands first before I get some tools, but we'll see what happens. Alright, done with the changing of the oil. Now I need to put the skid plates back on, and all them little bolts, the 10mm bolts holding the skid plate on, I'm going to put a little dab of anti-seize on all of them, because what do you do with a quad? You run it through the mud. Those bolts get rusty. Last thing you need to do is break one off inside of the frame. Then you're not going to get your skid plate on there tight, and it's going to be flapping in the breeze. Not what you want. So just a little dab on each one of those will do you. Be careful with this stuff, because if you get some on you, you're going to be wondering 2 hours later where the hell it's still coming from. You'll be looking like the Tin Man. Alright, getting these gun racks on this quad now. First thing you want to do is figure out your distance where you need to put your bases at, where these guys are going to sit. I got to readjust that one there. I've been playing with this here and knocked everything out of whack, but you want these things to be able to go to 90 degrees with each other, and everything kind of slid out of position here a little bit, but we're getting her figured out. The hardest thing to figure out is how your bow is going to sit on here, because they've got all these contours and whatever to it. So pretty much about, you know, right in this vicinity here is where I figured out my bow would sit. So we'll figure, yeah, about right there. So that's looking good on the width of it and whatever, so I can get past the limb savers and whatever, the counterbalance, all that good stuff. Gotta just take into a lot of things into account for the bow. The rifle, not so much. I mean, as long as they're straight across from each other, the rifle's gonna fit in there no problem at all. So anyway, there's that. You got two steel plates. One, two. That one just landed on the floor. Luckily, it didn't hit my toe. You got your base plate. Gonna go on there. This plate here goes into the bottom of the mounts itself, and obviously it's got directional on it. And then you have all these teeth for your other directionals. So it's really adjustable. Like this one here is sitting on there just the way I wanted it to go. The other side over there, got to readjust it. But that's it right there. Just one of these goes on goes like so. This one here goes on top, the other one on the bottom, and then just I'm going to play with the nuts and bolts on there a little bit to get everything to set level and square. But that's really it. Pretty simple. But yeah, you just got to figure out where you're going to put it for where your bow is going to sit. It's way more technical than your rifle sitting across there. Your rifle, you just need to have be square from one holder to the other, and your width of it should just be sitting across the stocks. So pretty much from there to there is going to cover that, no problem at all. You just don't want to have some weird little thing in there where it's not supported on both ends. That's the main thing. You want it to be supported on both ends, and make sure how you have it in there. Your scope's not going to just bounce around and hit something and get knocked out of whack. But these are really simple to put on. Like I said, I just got to play with this one over here a little bit to get the alignment on it the way I really want it. So anyways, got that oil change done, got this done, and gonna have to go and get some slime for the front tires. They have so many thorns in them. Oh my. Sitting there outside there and looking at them while I was underneath and putting the skid plates back on, and that one there, I just found a big washer to put on the outside of that because the hole was cracked. This one here, I got the plastic rivets on it. Put those in. Definitely a thing to do if you got a quad and it has this plastic rivets. Order some of those off Amazon. They're really good. And then you get the pry tool with it, and you can snap everything back together real good, not have everything flapping around in the breeze. Just not good. Yet stuff can pinch you, or you can get your, you could be traveling from point A to point B, and a big old buck jumps out in front of you, and your plastics aren't all down where it's supposed to be, and you go to get your rifle off, and it gets hung up between a couple pieces of plastic where one of those rivets is missing, and meanwhile he's heading off to the high country, so it can really make a difference. It's all those little things. A bunch of little things brings the whole picture together. But yeah, I'll bring this back on here in a second as soon as I get this thing all mounted up. Alright, got everything set up. Things looking good. Just make sure you got clearances for like your your stabilizer. Make sure definitely your sight's not hitting anything. You don't want to have your arrows tweaked out in any weird deal, because what can happen if it's really hot out and you got one of these arrows is bent, if it's hot enough out, it'll keep that bend in it. I've had graphite, carbon fiber fishing poles get bends in them, and they're there, man. A fishing pole is no big deal. It's got a little bend in it, oh well. Hopefully a few times a day on a fishing trip it's got a lot of bend in it. But you want to make sure that that's all going to be free floating, and when it moves around a little bit, it's not hitting anything. Like, see, we're free right here. This is going to be going like this, to some degree. And everything looks good, man. Be able to have the bow on there and a rifle, or 2 bows, it looks like, and looks like everything's good. Oil change is done. Bow and gun racks mounted. Just need a few more days to pass here, and it's gonna be bow season.